All right, God bless everybody. The topic today is 3 keys to walking by the Spirit and living large. Now, have you ever wanted to have better control over the Spirit of God that was integrated into your body and soul? Have you ever wanted to walk with noticeable spiritual power and utilized your promised dominion like Jesus Christ did? Have you ever wanted to make a 180-degree life change like the Apostle Paul did when he changed from being a hazard to the household to a safe haven for Christians? If you want to taste your dominion, if you want to see yourself doing the works of Jesus Christ, if you want to smell the sweet aroma of victory, if you want to hear the roar of the entire universe of it clapping as you walk by, or if you just want to finally lose weight and keep it off, then this teaching may be for you. And today I'm going to show you how to get back your spiritual mojo. Today I'm going to show you how to turn your life around. Today I'm going to show you the godly system to reaching even your greatest non-spiritual goals. Today I will show you 3 simple keys to walking by the Spirit that God hid in plain sight. Hidden in plain sight. Now the gift of Holy Spirit has to be simple to operate. To get proficient at walking by the Spirit doesn't take multiple layers of classes or 4 years of theological schooling. It doesn't take ordination or a different color name tag or a vacation Bible school certificate. It doesn't take any of that stuff. To understand how to turn on, tune in, and make use of that spiritual powerhouse that God integrated into your mind and body takes mastering 3 simple keys while maintaining your desire to truly help others. And we're going to find these 3 obvious keys to walking by the Spirit hiding in plain sight in 1 Corinthians 12, 13, and 14. And they're going to stand out to you like a children's pop-up book. Like seeing conjoined twins wearing cowboy boots at a carnival. Like momentarily locking eyes with the most beautiful person you've ever laid eyes on. Like hearing your newborn take their first breath. Like your first kiss. And once you see the 3 keys, they can't be unseen. So to set it up, let's work backwards. Now, chapter 14 of 1 Corinthians tells us that the love that we learned about in chapter 13 and the spiritual gifts that are highlighted in chapter 12 are for the sole purpose of edifying, enlightening, and growing up others who want to grow spiritually. Now, simply put, building up each other must become our ultimate purpose, our aspiration, our dream as we walk in love. This is not yet our key. Edification is our why. Why we're doing this thing. Now, these 3 chapters are seldom taught as a whole, as a package, as a unit, but they're indivisibly united by God. Now, chapter 12 of 1 Corinthians, it highlights the 9-part manifestation of Holy Spirit and shows what to expect as newly formed 3-part beings working together as a body. That's chapter 12. Chapter 14 is like the red-headed stepchild of this section. Or it's that foreign exchange student that just got introduced to the class. Interesting? Not. Chapter 14 is like the seldom read addendum to a thick sales manual. See, then sandwiched between these 2 spiritually packed chapters, as if it had glowing pages. Chapter 13 is typically used at weddings or in country songs to praise the power of love. Why did God place chapter 13 in between 12 and 14? The 3 keys to walking by the Spirit are so obvious that they're hidden. They're so obvious that we don't even see them. So, totally human and perfectly spiritual. And the Spirit of God is activated, motivated, ignited by 3 human behaviors. And I do mean human behaviors. And we're going to get to those in just a minute. What I'm about to show you is a tipping point of all human as well as all spiritual growth. So what we're going to learn in chapter 13 will help you in all your human endeavors, but it'll also help you walk by the Spirit. In fact, you'll never walk by the Spirit much without it. And these 3 habits will expose, enhance, augment, display, and show off the Spirit of God that is within you, as well as helping you save for retirement. Same principles. God was pretty smart. And these 3 keys will help you live large in any aspect of life, as well as helping you string together a few signs, miracles, and wonders every now and again. Would you like that? Sure you would. For maybe 200,000 years, humanity has been wired to live for now, to live for self, me, and to look for immediate reward. This instant gratification is what kept us alive as humans. It kept us alert, and it kept us moving as we spread and bred our way around the globe. For the most part, people still live that way today. And that's why we would rather eat ice cream now and deal with the weight later than not eat the ice cream now and enjoy, slimness later. That's why we'd rather spend money now and worry about retirement later. Now, something changed when man became what I call a true human. God tried something new. For the very first time ever, He used the chassis, the framework, the body and soul of early man, and He filled it with something new called spirit. This had never happened before to humanity. And it was new. God dreamed of His Spirit becoming an active part of the whole human package. Man did not always cooperate with this either. And of course, you know most of the stories. You've heard about Adam and Eve and such. But in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 23 from the Message, it says, "May God Himself, the God who makes everything holy and whole, make you holy and whole, put you together, spirit, soul, and body, and keep you fit for the coming of our Master, Jesus Christ. The one who called you is completely dependable. If He said it, He'll do it." See, we're all well put together, if I don't say so myself. You all are. You're all well put together. We pretty much know how we're supposed to use our bodies to take us where we want to go. Body, I want to go there. So you get up and you go there. You drive there. You fly there. You sail there. You see? But, we know how to use our souls, which simply put is our mind, our lives, our personalities. Isn't that what everybody says? Use your personality. You do you. Isn't that a new saying? You do you. Maybe it's not that new. We use our uniqueness to find our place in the world. But that elusive Spirit of God is a wee bit wispy. We have trouble wrapping our heads around that Spirit of God. Even if we were trained to know what that Spirit can do within us, even as we read about the many exploits of godly women and men doing miraculous, how can we rinse and repeat? How do we do the same thing? How do we do more than just talk about our glory days spiritually? You ever been around some older Christian? Yeah, back when I was back in da-ba-da-ba-doo, why we did this and we saw miracles and signs and wonders and still had a dog. I don't want to hear about what used to happen. Let's see what happens now. But the reason we don't is really because we lost sight of what we knew worked for us. Number one, which really isn't even a key, is doing this for somebody else. If you live your life, those are the times when you receive the most revelation. You did the most signs, miracles, and wonders when your mind was not on you, but it was on somebody else. It's important. That's chapter 14. We're not going there. Sadly, we humans seem to fall back to our deepest level of DNA training, and we typically have trouble remembering to utilize the unbelievable power of the Holy Spirit within. We live for us and we live for now. That's how humans were wired. That's how you're wired. You're wired to eat high fat, high salt, high protein. You're wired because that may be the only meal you're going to get that week. That's why you want it. It's your nature. You have to change your nature if you don't want that. You see, these three habits, these three keys, these three actions in 1 Corinthians 13 changed all that. These will put the Spirit of God to work. I'm going to say that again. The three keys we're going to read in 1 Corinthians 13 will get the Spirit of God in you working if you do it for someone besides you. The three keys to walking by the Spirit are totally human, while at the same time perfectly spiritual. The three keys, finally. The three the three keys can be extracted from the words hope, love, and belief. In the secular world, they could be termed outcome, process, and identity. And that's love, hope, and belief. Love, hope, and belief. Outcome, process, identity. Now, 1 Corinthians 13:13 from the TPT says, until then, there are three things that remain, faith, hope, and love, yet love surpasses them all. So love's sort of special. But don't allow your minds to turn off just yet. Give me a few more minutes before you turn off on me. You see, these words will unfold and expose something you've always seen out of the corner of your eye, but you weren't quite sure what you saw. 1 Corinthians chapter 13 holds the keys to unlocking the spiritual power within, if we do what if we do it with the motivation of helping others. Okay, that's not one of the keys, but it has to be a goal, an ultimate goal of why we're doing things. Remember, chapter 14 is to edify the body. It's to build up the body. That's the whole goal. Everything leads up to that. This is why you at times see brand new, untaught Christians, or even some little old believer from another ministry, gasp, doing signs, miracles, and wonders. And they never even took your group's classes. Oh my! How is that even possible? Well, it's because it's not hard. The Spirit of God is easier than learning ABCs. But walking these three things may not be as easy. I remember when I just turned 17 years old, I had already left home. I'd been away from home for about a year. And I was at this party. Something that you don't want your 16, 17-year-old going to, but maybe some of you went to those. And well, I was at this party, and all of a sudden I'm sitting there, and I see this stuff written on the wall, these words and symbols. And I look around, and they look like they're glowing on the wall, and nobody else is noticing it. And I thought, this is weird. And I'm not going to tell you what it is, because it was just for me, obviously. And then all of a sudden, I broke into a word of prophecy. Now I'm at a party where people are doing, and everybody at the party then looked at me, and I'd never heard of it before. I didn't even know what being a Christian was. I'd only gone to church when my mom pulled my ear and made me go, and we were always 10 minutes late and in the back pew. So, I'm sitting there, and then all of a sudden I started saying something, and then I popped out another word of prophecy. I thought, I think it's time for me to go. And I went home, and I had my hair grown down to about my belt, and I went home and cut my hair. I quit all my friends. I picked up a Bible. I started reading it because I said, there's got to be something biblical here, because I knew it related to Christ, whom I really didn't understand. Now, I didn't know much. And then my mom thought she was going to try to help me. So she goes, I'm going to take you to this mind control class, to help you with your mind. And I didn't know what it was. So I went with her. All of a sudden this guy's on stage and his face turns red like a red ball. I mean red, not like red because he was angry. And I thought, how come nobody's responding to this? But after I heard some words, I realized what he was teaching wasn't what I'd read about in the Bible. It was more spiritual than godly spiritual. And he would have led me down a path because it was interesting. He could tell what people are, he knew how much change was in somebody's pocket, all this, all these little ditty dads, he would pick out somebody in the audience and tell something about them that only they would have known. How would he know this? Well, that's a whole nother teaching, which we're not going to get into right now. But, it happened. And then I was taking jiu-jitsu at that time. And I go to this demonstration. These two guys, they were freshly back from Vietnam, and they were the instructors of our class. They were twins. And one took a baseball bat and just swung it full swing, and he hit his brother upside the head. And his brother stepped back up and he said, "Hit me again." And they were going to teach us how to protect ourselves with some spirit. And these guys' faces turned red. Then I got to a part in the Bible where I learned about discerning the spirits. Then I realized I better leave this group too, because they're teaching me something that's probably that's not godly. So I didn't know anything. I hadn't had a class, hadn't read anything I hadn't ever heard anybody tell me anything from the Bible other than what I just read, because I read through it twice real fast, the Bible. But it was the point of that is not to highlight me. It's just I was dumb. I was young and dumb and full of it. I didn't know nothing. Yet I was able to discern spirits and give a word of prophecy. So what I'm about to show you is why the 40-year span of the book of Acts was even written, and how the apostles, and a few others rocked the world using these simple keys as they walked with spiritual power and purpose. Have you ever wondered what hope, love, and faith have in common? Isn't that what's mentioned in 1 Corinthians 13? Mm-hmm. How are they connected? Why are they there? Why those three words? I spent hours and I worked this and I've worked this, and it finally, boom, showed to me. Allow me to define our terms. Faith or belief, they mean the same thing. Hope and love. Now, to understand this in the order of terms that we think in today, I'm going to kick it off with hope, then love, and finally belief. And you'll see why. It's really how this is the root of all motivational speakers. This is the root of every sales class. This is the root of every book that's ever helped you. It always has these three things, but they're said a little bit differently. So key number one is hope, or the desired outcome, or a goal. You ever heard of that? You ever set a goal? A New Year's resolution? Okay. Well, here's why. This will also tell you why you don't reach them. So, number one key is hope. Hope gives us something to hang on to. In the Hebrew of the Old Testament, hope is defined as a rope. It's a rope. It's a cord or something to tie yourself onto. It's an attachment. You're attached to something. It's tied to you and reminds you that you're tied directly and permanently to God. That's hope. You're just tied. Where He goes, you go, kind of thing. You're just tied. Now, Hebrews 6:19 from the Message says, "We who have run for our very lives to God have every reason to grab the promised hope with both hands and to never let go. It's an unbreakable spiritual lifeline, reaching past all appearances, right to the very presence of God, where Jesus, running on ahead of us, has taken up His permanent post as high priest for us in the order of Melchizedek." In the New Testament, hope is also called the anchor of the soul. It's also got an anchor. Anchor holds that boat in place. You see, hope is hope. It takes our control. It takes us to control it. See, we have to do something, you know. But it's our desired outcome. It takes us to do something now, and we're heading toward where we want to go. It's the outcome. It's the goal. Okay, that's all hope is. It's something to hang on to. Somebody's sick in the hospital, and you give them hope. You ever done that? Come on, you're going to be okay. You know. I mean, we just had this happen this weekend. Some of you who know us, you know, I have a sister-in-law who's also named Josie, who she said she was tired. She laid down, and her son went to go lay down in his room. He's an adult, and he heard the dogs yapping and yapping and yapping and yapping like he'd never heard them yap before. He walked into her bedroom. They were on the bed, both barking at her face. Her eyes were open, her tongue was hanging out, and she had stopped breathing. They were trying to bark her to wake up. And so he called 911. They said, pull her off the bed, start heart compressions, and he did. And then 3 minutes later, emergency vehicle came up, and they used the paddles, and they revived her. So the dog saved this woman's life, as did the son. You see, and then when I heard this, I called that kid, and I just kept giving him hope. I kept giving him hope. I said, you saved her life. You know, and it wasn't just me. I'm sure other people did the same thing. But people, we need hope. Hope, something to hang on to. I prayed with them. I did everything I could possibly do from 900 miles away, or however far it is, to Texas. You see. Hope, in today's words, is a goal setter's mindset. It's locking something down mentally. Boom! You just got it locked in, and ain't nothing going to take that. That's hope. All of you have things like that. You want something. You know, whatever it is, I'm going to have it. You picture yourself skinny. You picture yourself muscle-bound. You picture, you know, whatever. It's locking something down mentally. It's our aspiration. You ever heard that? It's what you aspire to. It's our ultimate. It's our vision, our doable dream. With hope, we can cope. You know, we do this hope thing with our secular, with health, and with our spiritual goals. Hope is huge. Any human on earth can hope. Caveman could hope. Why do you think they moved? What got them out? Anybody could do this. Now God's using these three totally human things that moved humanity around the globe so that we can learn to walk by the Spirit. Hope is incredible. In 1 Corinthians 12 through 14, in order to walk with spiritual power, we must first be able to imagine helping others grow spiritually before we can develop the system of love enough times in our minds and actions to make it a belief. Make walking with power our identity, which is ultimately where we're going. So key number one is hope. 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 Key number one is visualizing the outcome. You see how this is purely, that's what hope is. That's all it is. And the key number two is love. The system or the process. Now this is a great one, folks. In fact, love is the great one. In fact, it's the greatest and hardest of the three. And we're going to spend the most time here on love. Love has two basic definitions in both the Greek and the Hebrew. And one is easy to define and the other is a bit harder to understand. And this is where the success happens or doesn't, is this love thing. It's not love like you think. One type of love is a love that we all understand. It enjoys reciprocation. You know, it enjoys somebody giving, you know, a to and fro, giving back. You know, this is hearts and flowers and pats on the back. It's brimming with pride of being with that special person or group. If you ever been on a sports team or an elite military squad, you've had, you know, a group that had great morale and team spirit. You've experienced, you know, esprit de corps. Esprit de corps. That is a type of love. We know it when we feel it. You know when somebody loves you, right? And you know when somebody doesn't love you, typically, right? You know, it's that warm glow, that special feeling, that desire to protect and return the favor. This type of love is very, 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 very powerful. Without it, we would not be here as humans. Why would we? That's not the kind of love I'm talking about here today. That's not the kind of love I'm talking about. We're talking about this word agape. Now this is not going to be like your Sunday school taught you. You know, the second type of love is one that requires no reciprocation, nor does it expect any. Its only goal is getting to the goal. Its only goal is getting to the goal. It's why. It's the why in the what we want. You see, Christians call it the love of God, but the Greeks do not. The Greeks don't. You see, in simple modern terms, this type of love is a process. This type of love is a system. So you can't think of it as a feeling. This is a process. It's a process. It's a system. It's a prescription. It has nothing to do with feelings. Whether you feel it or whether you don't feel it, you do it. Mothers know this kind of love. My mom loved me when I was crazy and crazy bad. You see? And so she made up her mind to keep me in her heart. That's this kind of love. It's not a feeling. I gave her nothing back. Nothing back, nor did she expect anything. You know, when I finally came back home after a year, I came home on a Sunday, they just set another place at the table. They never asked me where I was, what I did. They never told me that I broke their heart. That's sort of loving, isn't it? Now, I would not have been that parent. You're breaking my heart. Oh, why do you do this to your mother? You're driving her crazy. She lost 5 pounds. So the second type of love requires no reciprocation, and it expects none. You know, it's the why and what we want. Christians call it that love of God. Like I said, the Greeks don't. It's simple modern terms. It's a process or a system. This system is repeated until the outcome is achieved, until the hope is manifested, until the new identity has been adopted. And the new identity will be our last step. And this type of love is awesome to behold. You can do it alone. You must do it alone. This is a love you cannot share, but you can give. Your minds are thinking about that one. Let's take a look at a few verses to help us understand this agape love. Now, man, you got to get rid of the hearts. You got to get rid of the pats on the back and the little medals and the awards and the I love yous. And, you know, that's not this kind of love. Agape love is not that. Could it be in there? Yes. That's if you throw brotherly love, if you mix it in with the agape love. Agape is not that. This is a hard lesson for Christians. Remember, this is not a feeling. This is not a feeling. This is not smiles and flowers and stolen glances and awards and medals. You know, it doesn't need them. It doesn't need them. It's bigger. I know when I was studying Shorin-ryu kind of karate, and they didn't give different colored belts. And if you had a really dirty belt, it means you've been around a long time. Black belt. A fresh brand new one you just bought, white belt. And then it's just the shades in between. And that's how the colors, but my sensei, he's from Okinawa, I said, why don't we have this? He goes, Americans need the awards. He goes, we don't need awards. You know, well, they probably still do, but that's what he told me. You see, it's just a different thought process. It's what you can do, not what you wear. Okay? And this is a type of love that makes everything happen. This is a daily discipline, a schedule, a system, a process. Having a firm hope is wonderful. It's great, but without action, nothing ever happens. Isn't that like New Year's resolutions that are finished by January 15th? You see? It's because you didn't put any action behind it. It's really simple, folks. This is the same way you walk by the Spirit. It's the same thing. Why is it in here? It must be the key. You got to be able to see yourself, picture yourself walking with power. If you can't, you're not going to typically. And then you got to do your darndest to walk in love. And you just, no matter what anybody says, no matter what anybody does, you just keep pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing to help somebody else, to help others grow who want to grow. You see, Galatians 5:6 says, "For in Jesus Christ neither circumcision availeth anything, nor uncircumcision, but faith or belief which worketh by love." See, faith or belief or identity only shows up by way of love. Love is what activates belief. You see, belief is energized by this type of love, by hard work love, by sweat dripping love. That's what this is talking about. You ever had a boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife that was going through a tough time and you didn't feel anything for them anymore, but you just kept pushing. You kept giving, and maybe they turned. Okay? That's the kind of love I'm talking about. You keep doing it, you keep doing it, you keep doing it, you keep doing it, no matter if you ever get it back. That's agape love. They call it unconditional, right? Okay? But we've heard that so much, I'm not going to use it. I won't say it again. You see, it's not touchy-feely love, but it's a work-hardened love. It's a love that has calluses on its hands. You see, it's a love in a jogging suit. It's love on the bench press. You know, identity is motivated by this kind of love. Why? You know, we're all familiar with the teaching on love in 1 Corinthians 13. But as we read verses 1 through 3 in the Amplified Bible, let's focus on the faith-love connection. And this will make a little more sense to you. If I can speak in the tongues of men and even of angels and have not love, and we're talking about the agape, the hard work love, I am not only a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal. Or am I only a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal? And if I have prophetic powers, and if I have sufficient faith so that I can remove mountains, and have not love, God's love in me, this agape kind of love, I am nothing. I'm a useless nobody. Even if I dole out all that I have to feed to the poor and providing for food, and if I surrender my body to be burned and have not this kind of love, this agape, hard-working love, I gain nothing. You want to gain something in life? You want to make more money? You want to have a retirement? You want to be healthier? Then you have to love yourself like this. You don't let yourself eat a cookie when you know you're trying to lose weight. You understand? I mean, you got to get dogged, determined. This is not Valentine's Day love. This love is a system, a prescription for success that God laid out. This love is work. In the Garden of Eden, God gave Adam a system, and He pointed out the one and only fatal flaw. He told them to avoid this one thing. And if you avoid this one thing, you're going to flourish, man. Adam, you're going to have dominion. Adam, you're going to live in a paradise. How many of us would like to live in paradise? I mean, true paradise. Well, you will someday. But Adam had it right then. But if he stops doing the things the way that are working, once Adam left the system that God laid out for him, the system for dominion, the system for success, the system for paradise, He said something in you is going to die. And Genesis 2:17 from the King James says, "For in the day that thou eatest thereof, thou shalt surely die." Now, it doesn't mean he died. Well, I'll let it explain itself. The word thereof when I read this, it blew my little freckled brain. You see, the word thereof, it means, in the text, it means a part of. The day that you leave the system, a piece of you is going to die. And the word die is used twice in Hebrew. Something in you is going to die. It's established. You will lose it. And he knew what it would be. It would be the one part of humanity that was never there before him. What would that part be? Spirit. See, the words thereof means a part of it. And so if you decide to go for the easy, and that's what he and Eve did. They wanted to go the easy way. They wanted instant power. They wanted instant gratification. Instant feel good. Instant whatever that the shiny one had to offer. Something in you will die, and you're going to lose paradise. And they were ejected from the Garden of Eden. Now work was going to be hard. Like what all you have to do. We know that when Adam and Eve finally blew it, they lost the Spirit of God. They reverted back to the 200,000-year-old version of humanity. They only had their minds and bodies to cash in on immediate rewards. And that's really what the devil wants you to do. Cash in on immediate rewards. The most successful people on earth understand these 3 steps. And they do them faithfully, faithfully, faithfully. And everybody who's ever walked by the Spirit has done it this way with the mindset of helping somebody else. Okay? So there was no hope anymore. They'd lost their hope. Their identity was changed. Adam's identity was changed at that point. God only gave one simple little command to Adam, but it certainly covered a lot of ground, did it not? Adam and Eve rejected the system of love and traded it for something shiny and immediate. That's a good story, but I need to explain this type of love a bit more, because without this, you'll never get to the next step. Many times in the Old Testament, God told his people that if they keep his commandments, it proves that they love him. This type of love is a system. It's a set of beliefs. Jesus said in John 14:15 that, quote, "If ye love me, keep my commandments." So keeping the commandments is what love is. And the word commandments here is the word prescription. Jesus said, if you keep my prescription, then I know that you love me. Keep my prescription. And 1 John 5:2-3 from King James says, "By this we know that we love the children of God when we love God, and we keep his commandments." So to love God is also to keep his commandments. And that word commandments there is also the word precept or prescription. For this is the love of God, that we keep his commandments. I just said it twice now. Here's the love of God. Here's what this agape love is to keep his commandments. Love is keeping his commandments. And his commandments are not grievous. That means they're not heavy. These are my commandments. They're not heavy. They're not heavy. They're not going to weight you down. You see, we all think of the commandments like, don't do this and you don't do that, and you better do this and you better do that. It's pointy. It's not pointy finger commandments. We've got to get that out of our head. It's not like the 10 Commandments. Thou shalt not, and thou shalt not, and thou shalt not, and thou shalt not. You see, I want you to think of it more like a perfect prescription written and handed to you by Dr. Jesus. Imagine if he was your doctor. You walk in, Jesus, hey, Dr. Jesus. And he goes, I got a prescription for you, Aaron. And you go, oh yeah? Cool, man. And so he hands you this prescription, handwritten, and then you go, dang, I like that. And you do it. And what happens? You get healed, you prosper, right? You see, love is never going back to what didn't work for us in the first place. Why do we do that? If you were addicted to heroin, why would you ever go back? Why? You know it wasn't good for you, you wouldn't have quit. why would you go back to whatever, to become an alcoholic? Well, I got to talk to a young lady the other day who's, working on her weight. And she said, food is my addiction. And I thought, whoa, that's pretty bold, you see. Well, if this person applies these principles, they will see results. But it's hard. It's so darn hard. But Adam and Eve wanted it easy. They want instant fame, instant gratification. It doesn't work that way. That's not love. That's not love. You see, it's got to become your identity. You do it day after day after day after day after day, habitually, until you become it or it becomes you. Like going to the gym 3 times a week and adding just a pound per week to our weight stack. Will we improve? Yeah. Actually, you improve 150% in a year if you went 3 times a week. Now, whether you could really do that or not, I don't add 50% more weights, but you might be able to. You see? It's like going from a 10K race to a 10K race to a half marathon, to a marathon. You just keep putting in the miles, keep putting in the miles, keep putting in the miles. Pretty soon, it's not that hard. It's like sitting down at your computer every day and writing 100 words every day. Pretty soon, the book's finished. Yay! Now I got to get it published. Oh. Love is putting in the reps. The reps that build you up so you can help somebody else. If we can teach it, we know it. See, you put in enough reps, you become good. You'd be great in the gym if you did it every day, right? I can tell people about running marathons, at least a mountain marathon. I can tell them what to expect, what to eat, what not to eat, what kind of shoes to wear, what kind of compression socks, what to carry with them, what not to carry with them. I know! You see, this special hard work and love does not need cameras or cards, thank you notes or accolades. It is you in your zone, growing and growing and growing and going and going. I once heard, you don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. That's love. I think that's by James Clear. See, love is faithfully working your system. Love is faithfully working your system. 1 Corinthians 13, 7 and 8 from the AMP. Love bears up under anything and everything that comes. Its hopes are fadeless under all circumstances, and it endures everything without weakening. Love never fails, never fades out or becomes obsolete or comes to an end. This type of love never fails because we never stop. It never fails because we never stop. This is a love that we have to perform. This type of love endures everything because we endure everything. This type of love never weakens because we get stronger and stronger and stronger. And because God, of course, is always strong. He never fails and He can always endure. See, this type of love works in business, at home, with kids, in school, and if we really want to walk by spiritual power, which is the whole point of this teaching. But you have to understand it in the physical, and then the same principles will work if you really want to try this out spiritually, because a lot of people don't want to try it out spiritually. They're afraid. You start discerning spirits and you see something you're not ready for, it can be quite shocking. You see, or quite enlightening. You see, and this type of love, this system, this prescription from Dr. Jesus, this never-ending process we must do alone never fails. This type of dogged love is what energizes our believing. So now, key number 3, which is belief, and I'm going to call it identity here. Identity. The words, because really if you believe to move a mountain, you can picture that fully in your mind. I mean, there's no doubt. It's part of you. It's just so much a part of you, but it took time to get there. That's what I'm saying. You don't just all of a sudden believe and you've never done a damn thing the rest of your life. That's not what I'm talking about. The words faith and believe get a bit murky. They're the same Greek word, but they mean basically the same thing. Everybody knows what it means when they tell you, have some faith, brother. Just have faith. Have faith in me. You see, you know what that means, but you can't define it. You know, we talk about having the faith of Jesus Christ. What does that mean? You know, we know believing can remove mountains, but we've never seen it. We've seen believing work, but there's a lot that went up to that believing. Faith, believing, belief can be stated in modern terms as identity. You become that. You know, like I chose a year ago to not eat gluten anymore. I did it just to watch what I put in my mouth. It's the only reason. You see, now I identify as gluten-free. I go into a restaurant, I need a gluten-free menu. I don't go, oh, am I going to be gluten-free today or not? No, I'm gluten-free. You see? And it's helped me. I've maintained weight for the first time in years because I maintain what I eat. Who would have thunk? It's that simple. Golly. You see, faith, belief, their identity. We take all our hope, all the months and years we worked up that prescription of love, and our identity is formed. You know, we're transformed like the butterfly of Romans 12 because we've renewed our minds. We're free, we're flying, we're colorful. It's been a process. It was work. It's been hard, but nobody will ever change your mind. Nobody's going to tell that butterfly it's a worm again. Because it's a butterfly. Right? Nobody's going to tell that guy with the big muscles that he's a weakling. He put in the work and he got strong. Nobody's going to tell somebody who just completed a marathon that you don't know how to run. He just ran 26 miles. You see, or she. You see, Romans 12:2. You see, nobody can change your mind for you, folks. That's why love is something you have to do on your own. Agape love. Romans 12:2 from the Voice. Do not allow this world to mold you in its own image. Instead, be transformed from the inside out by renewing your mind. As a result, you'll be able to discern what God wills and whatever God finds good, pleasing, and complete. How would you like to be able to find anything that God considers good for you? You can. It's in the prescription. You're an athlete. You are a musician. You identify as a mom. You've done it enough that you identify as a vegan or keto or gluten-free or a marathoner. It's become your identity. You talk about it. You think about it. You dream about it. It's your identity. That's belief. That's the word belief. That's the word faith. You are an ambassador for Christ. No longer we say that we want something or we're hoping for something. We are. I am. You fill in the blank. So in summary, the ultimate goal of our new identity, our new belief system, is to help others grow. Help others do what we took the time to do. Okay? And this happens as we hang on to our hope. We follow the prescription of love, and we take on the identity of the new and true version of humanity that God originally dreamed up. If you want to taste your dominion, if you want to see yourself doing the works of Jesus Christ, if you want to smell the aroma of sweet victory, if you want to hear the roar of the entire universe clapping as you walk past, or if you just want to lose weight and keep it off, then grab onto a hope, an outcome, a lofty goal. Then show up every day and put in the work to keep God's system, to keep God's prescription, to keep the way things are to be done. That's His prescription for success for true humanity. So show up every day. That's love. And then lastly, make that prescription that you've worked so hard and so long on, make it your true identity and help somebody else along the way. That is living large, folks. And that is the 3 keys to walking by the Spirit. God bless.